What's up, guys? Sleepy Picks here. We just had two amazing play-in games. We're going to recap those and we'll talk about the matchups that we will have on Thursday. Let's take a look at the first game. First game, we had Howard beating UMBC 86 to 83, and this was a very entertaining game. Howard did have a lead almost the entire game, led by 8 at the half. Um, every single time that UMBC was able to get close or it looked like they were going to be able to make a little bit of a run, Howard came up with big shot after big shot, and that all culminated in that final jumper by Bryce Harris with only like half a second remaining on the clock for Howard, and you could just tell it was their day. It was their day to win. But credit to UMBC being able to fight back in the last couple of minutes there. Looking at some of the numbers here, we have UMBC. They shot 41% from 3-point, 52% from the field. Howard was 48% from 3-point, 48% from the field. Pretty well balanced attack by Howard, obviously giving the UMBC defense some fits there. But, you guys will have to talk to me about how you feel about the 16 versus 16 play-in. It does kind of stink that you have one team that's kind of out before the tournament even begins. But at the same time, now you have Howard winning an NCAA tournament game. That's a huge accomplishment for the team, for the program, and you could see it meant so much to this team to get through this game. UMBC, obviously, a few years ago, we remember getting that upset as the 16th seed over the number 1 seed at Virginia. Not able to get through that game today, but congratulations to Howard getting through. Let's take a look at their matchup. Guys, I was looking to see if there are any statistics readily available comparing the number 16 seeds that had a play-in game playing the number 1 seed to the number 16 seeds that didn't have a play-in game playing the number 1 seed, because I wanted to know if this play-in game was helping or hindering the number 16 seed. Maybe there isn't a difference, but I am kind of curious to see if there is a little bit of a difference, and we would have a larger statistical set of games to look at, because I believe they've been doing this first four in since 2011, 2012. They've been doing the playing games for a while before, but just the first four to start, we even just looking at that, you would have a good amount of years to compare these games. So I'll have to do that on my own time at some point. But anyways, we have Michigan taking on Howard. This game is set to tip Thursday at 7:10 p.m. in Buffalo, New York. And you notice that I put that's the Buffalo Bills logo with the Howard Bison on it. I did not do that. That is a historical logo that Howard has used. So I kind of found that pretty cool. They're playing in Buffalo. They got this logo, so I figured I'd throw that up there. Looking at this Howard team, they did just shoot 48% from 3. And that is so much better than their season average. They're about 35% from 3. So to be shooting that good, and we talked about, how Howard was able to just come up with big shot after big shot to just keep UMBC at bay, especially UMBC making a couple of those strong runs in the second half. Now they're going up against the number 10 3-point defense in the nation. So are they going to shoot 48%? No way. Are they going to shoot 35%? Probably not. So, and that's one of the biggest things about Michigan. They have such a great defense that once they get ahead, it's really hard to come back against them. Especially the number 10 defense for threes in the nation. It's just so hard unless you really have guys that can shoot. It's just so difficult to get your way back into a game if you're down by 10 or 15 or 20 points, because the defense is just going to be so stifling there. They also have the number 4 2-point defense in the nation. They are the number 2 overall defense in the nation and the number 6 overall offense in the nation. So this is a much tougher opponent than UMBC for Howard. And honestly, like when you look at these teams, like if Howard has a chance, they have to be able to shoot the ball. Like they have to be able to spread Michigan out because they're not going to be able to get many points down low. Michigan is too large. They're going to really take control of that. They got to be able to maybe push a little bit more and get some open shots in the open court. Maybe they can do that. But once you start to push pace against Michigan, they'll push back and they'll start scoring as well. I mean, this is just a very tricky matchup for Howard. There's not really much more we can say. One other thing that I'll say is, you always look at that travel spot. We'll look at that for Texas going forward with that win. Howard only has to travel from Dayton to Buffalo, and that's not a far trip. Some of these teams might have to go like to Portland or San Diego. Those are tough trips, especially you have a 48-hour turnaround. Those are tough trips, especially when if you finish the game, you're probably getting on a flight tonight to get out there and get ready. Practice tomorrow, practice the day after, and then get ready for the game. It's also really tough, and this is why I really wanted to look at those statistics. I'm curious if, a team like Howard, I believe this is their first school win in the NCAA tournament. And it's tough to have that, you want to celebrate, but you can't because now you're playing the best team that you've played all year. So you have to focus. You want to go out and celebrate, but you can't. Because in 48 hours you're now playing an even tougher opponent. And I mean that's exactly what the NCAA tournament's all about. So for me, looking at this, I gotta pick. I'm obviously gonna pick Michigan. I picked them to win my whole tournament. They're not gonna lose to Howard. Give me Michigan. I think they're gonna win by 20. Next game, we have Texas beating NC State 68-66. And talk about survive and advance. You could feel the first round jitters in this game. I definitely thought it was going to be a much higher scoring game. It was not. It wasn't a clean game, but the ending was spectacular. You could really feel the aura of March in the building tonight. Let's take a look at those numbers. We have Texas shooting 29% from three-point range, 37% from the field. NC State 38% from three-point, 39% from the field. NC State shooting the ball better. One of the bigger differentials here was Texas being able to out-rebound NC State 45-33, and Texas having 12 turnovers. That's something that they're going to have to clean up against in their next matchup because that's not going to help them at all. One other thing that I wanted to note was Texas only made 5 threes in the entire game, and 3 of them were in like the first 2.5 minutes. So they only hit 2 threes for the remainder of the game. Not great. With a minute and 50 seconds left in the game, Texas led 62-53. So it felt like it was going to be a pretty routine win. But NC State able to cut that lead, hits a big 3 to make it 66-65. Texas has multiple times struggling to inbound the ball, turn the ball over. NC State's able to get to the free throw line. They only make 1 of 1. Had a chance to take the lead, put that scoreboard pressure on Texas. But Texas, Tremont Mark, able to hit the game-winning shot. 1 second to go. To win for the Longhorns. Just amazing stuff there to conclude the night. So congratulations to Texas, but we're going to have a better performance than this against BYU. Let's take a look at that matchup. And we have the number 6 seeded BYU Cougars taking on the number 11 seeded Texas Longhorns. This game is set to tip at 7:25 Eastern Thursday in Portland, Oregon. We did talk about the Saunders injury, and that I feel like is pretty crucial for BYU trying to make a run in this tournament. I don't know if it's going to be crucial here against Texas. Texas having one of the top 25 offenses in the nation, so they can score, and I think that's something that they're going to have to do here against BYU. I don't see I don't see Texas winning kind of like the game that they just played against NC State, like a lower 60-point type scoring game. They're not going to win that against BYU. They're going to have to put up numbers to beat this team. BYU also has the lead scorer in the nation, AJ DeBansa, a freshman. He's going to be one of the best players to come out and go into the draft. But looking at BYU here, we have the number 16th offense in the nation, the number 89th defense in the nation. They are 7-10 in quad 1 games, 8-1 in quad 2, and 3-0 in quad 3. They've really challenged themselves this year. They did notch a couple of wins without Saunders. Got that nice win over Texas Tech, 82-76, and then win a couple of rounds in the tournament. Kansas State, West Virginia, losing to Houston by 7 points. You know, this BYU team, I think they're going to be able to get through this game. I do think it's going to be a little bit tricky. Honestly, I was ready to pick against BYU, whoever they were playing, but against Texas or NC State, I was like, that's going to be a tough ask. Texas just doesn't play defense like that. That's the thing that they got to get stops, and that was something that we saw, you know, like Houston was able to do, West Virginia was able to do, Cincinnati was able to do. They were able to get stops against this BYU team, and I don't see that Texas is going to be able to do that. DeBansa's probably going to go up for like 30-plus points in this game. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he does in the tournament. Hopefully he kind of makes a name for himself here and becomes one of those household names that everybody remembers in the Ncaa tournament. But I'm going to go with BYU. I think they're probably going to win this game by like 5 points. So give me BYU by 5. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share your picks in the comments. Share the video. We do have a video out going through all of the first round matchups on Thursday and Friday, and we will have a video going over the Wednesday games and looking at the 2 matchups that come out of those games. Looking forward to it. I'll see you guys in the next video.